So the United States just completely gutted the Chinese economy. All right, is this going to start another war? These are massive sanctions put on China by the United States, and this is going to completely gut their economy. This is going to affect every single aspect of their economy and ours, all right, once China responds to this. So this is a huge development. Is this another escalation of war? Are we going to see China do something now? Are we going to see China have a response for Taiwan? Because these things are all directly related, and we're seeing escalations all over the world, all right? So this is huge that the Biden administration is doing this. They're putting these new sanctions on, and it is essentially economic war on China. And they're saying it's, quote, annihilation, all right? So very concerned to see what China's response is. I'm not sure exactly why this move was made, but it definitely seems like an escalation, all right? So it says, the Biden administration sweeping new export controls aimed at cutting off China from obtaining chips used in supercomputers has caused a, quote, complete collapse of the Communist Party's country's semiconductor industry, according to one expert, all right? He said, quote, this is what annihilation looks like. China's semiconductor manufacturing industry was reduced to zero overnight, all right? Said the CEO of Hedgehog Lab. So this is huge, right? This is what annihilation looks like. Semiconductors are used in everything. They are used in cars. They're used in microwaves, refrigerators, radios, phones. Every single electronic device pretty much has a semiconductor in it. Any modern device. And this affects the healthcare industry. This affects the military industrial complex. This affects everything. This is why Taiwan is such a key component to the global picture, because they are the biggest semiconductor chip manufacturer in the world. All right. So this is huge that this is happening. And this is what people are saying. They're saying every American executive and engineer working in China's semiconductor manufacturing industry resigned yesterday. All right. So this was posted yesterday. So they resigned on the 13th. All right. This is all developing news right now. And it says the sanctions did a ton of damage. All right. A ton of damage. All right. So, and it says they paralyzed their manufacturing overnight. Every American executive and engineer working in China's semiconductor manufacturing industry resigned, all right? And because they were essentially given a choice to essentially renounce their American citizenship or to continue or to leave, all right? So they could renounce their citizenship and work in these factories in China, or they have to leave because they can no longer assist China in producing these semiconductors, all right? And it's saying it's sending shockwaves through the $440 billion industry, all right? So this is going to affect everything. There's also some insiders I saw giving some just, back perspective on what's going on and how this is affecting everything. They said, don't think most get it. Need to be more clear. Here at my place, 40 weeks out for robots for good customers, more than others. I/O blocks are 6 months out if you can get them. Drives, good luck. One vendor said he is waiting 1.5 years for Siemens PLC. Not sure how anyone is building anything. He said, excrement is about to hit the air moving device, all right? That's a nice way of saying, you know what, it's about to hit the fan, all right? Common denominator seems to be chips, almost by design. You have to wonder, what is the agenda, all right? I think we know the agenda. I think we know what's going on. These economic sanctions are a form of economic war on other countries, and the U.S. is just going around slapping these sanctions on other countries that, I mean, we're competitors with China, but technically China hasn't done anything this drastic to the United States directly, all right? And I love the U.S., all right? I'll never leave the U.S., I'll probably never go to China or Russia or anywhere in my life. All right, just how it is. I'll probably never go to these places. But from a objective stance, it's like the China didn't really do anything. Yeah, there's been decades long of buildup of this stuff with China, but this is very extreme to slap these sanctions on China right now in the midst of all this other chaos that's going on, right? And this comes as Xi, the president, he has also been making veiled threats, all right? He has said that he would never, quote, never abandon the use of force as an option for China to invade Taiwan. Quote, never abandon the use of force. All right, so he's saying the use of force is an option. He said unification with Taiwan is inevitable and said China would never abandon the use of force. All right, so he's saying that this is going to happen no matter what. And having these sanctions slapped on when Taiwan is the biggest chip producer in the world is just going to accelerate China invading Taiwan even more. All right, so this is going to devastate. What if China responds with their own sanctions and say, we no longer export Chinese goods, we will no longer export all the stuff that says made in China on the shelves, that will no longer be there anymore. We will kick out whatever industry maybe they'll target a certain industry for manufacturing or something in the United States and say, we will no longer allow this company to operate in China and then export their products back to the United States. This could go both ways, all right? China could definitely implement massive restrictions on us, and we have kind of made ourselves vulnerable by sending all of our manufacturing and everything else overseas the past however many decades, 40, 50 years. We've been slowly exporting everything overseas, and now we don't produce a lot of things. We get components and we assemble things here, but we're not doing a lot of manufacturing, direct manufacturing of products, all right? So this could go back and forth, all right? We don't want to see this escalation, and it seems like I really don't understand the point of this. I know it's a national security threat, but the point, I think the solution should be that the United States should just make their own chips. Why are we depending on Taiwan, this little tiny island that China wants so bad? Why are we depending on them to make our chips? Why don't we just make our own chips? Why? I don't understand. We have the best. All these scientists are in China and in Taiwan are American scientists. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. That's why this is so devastating to the industry, because all the American scientists can no longer operate in the Chinese chip industry. So there are already a bunch of American scientists. Why don't we just bring them back here and make them produce chips in America? All right. Hopefully that's the long-term plan. All right. But in a short-term perspective, China could have massive responses and essentially shut us off from the supply chain at any moment. And they could use a multitude of excuses. They've already used multiple excuses the past few years to shut down the supply chain. They could easily just use the same excuse and just be like, oh, something's happening. You know what I mean? All right, so let me know what you guys think. This is huge. This is an attack, honestly, an economic attack. Sanctions are a form of economic siege and war, right? Honestly, if we're being real about it, that's really what they are. So this is kind of like an attack on China. That's probably how, I'm just thinking objectively, that's how China would think of this, all right? That's probably how they're going to think, this is attacking our economy and going to affect us heavily. Like, we're upset. We need to respond, all right? So let me know what you guys think. What do you think China's going to do? What do you think this means for the worldwide chip industry as well and the supply chain? You think China's going to shut it down? It's definitely possible. They could invade Taiwan. There's a lot of cards on the table. So let me know what you guys think, and you guys have a big old blessed day.